You know what's a fantastic life decision? Moving to a new country at almost 50. Not 22 when your brain downloads languages like a free app. 50. When your main hobby is sitting down and learning a new password feels like higher education. Most people my age are researching ergonomic chairs. I traded a predictable life for a place where I only understand 30% of what's happening. Welcome to the bureaucratic Hunger Games. Grab a coffee or a map. You're gonna need both. People think moving countries are all sunset and local wine. They don't mention the paperwork nightmare. I spent the last month collecting documents to prove that my other documents actually exist. At one point, the clerk asked me for a certificate confirming that I am, in fact, me. Which, at almost 50, with this much gray hair and a fading memory, isn't always a biological certainty. But the red tape isn't the real stress. It's the 3 a.m. father guilt. You look at your wife, your kid, even at your dog, and you just think, did I ruin everyone's life? Congratulations, family. We now live somewhere where I lead with 30% comprehension and 100% misplaced confidence. It's real inspirational leadership. If you like being led by someone who can't even explain to the plumber why the sink is screaming. Culture shock, it's a death by a million cuts. Like the grocery store. You walk in feeling like a functional adult and leave feeling like a toddler. I recently bought what I thought was a nice creamy peach yogurt. Got home, took a big optimistic spoonful, and realized I've purchased fermented fish paste. Adventure, right? My test buds are still in witness protection. And then there's the language, or as I like to call it, performance art for people who just wanted a snack. At 50 almost, my brain doesn't learn new words. It just archives them in a folder labeled File Not Found. I walk into a bakery with the script in my head, but the second I open my mouth, I'm pretty sure I've accidentally insulted the barista's grandmother, or declared my intention to buy a building. There's this specific look they give you. It's not a smile, it's the buffer face. It's that 3 seconds pause where their brain is trying to decide if I'm having a medical emergency or I'm just a very tall, confused toddler. I can manage a low, but if they hit me with an unscripted curveball like, would you like a bag? Or that will be 550, my internal GPS just starts shouting, recalculating in panic. I usually end up just nodding aggressively at everything until they hand me a pastry I didn't want and a receipt I can't read. Then I back out of the door slowly like I'm escaping a crime scene. The local immigration office is basically the Hunger Games, but with more plastic chairs and significantly fewer snacks. The air in there is 40% oxygen and 60% broken dreams. You sit there for 4 hours questioning every life choice you've made since 1994, and by the time you finally get called to the window, you've aged 3 years, developed a facial tic, and forgotten your own middle name. I'm genuinely worried that by the time they finally process my file, the paperwork won't even be valid anymore because I'll have it transitioned from resident to historical artifact. I'm worried the clerk is going to look at my application, look at me, and then call the local museum to come collect their missing Neanderthal. This is where the motorcycle saves me. Because when the world is a confusing mess of mistranslations and tax ID numbers, the engine makes sense. Throttle, clutch, lean into a corner. The road is the only place I don't need a translator. Gravity speaks every language, and it's very fluid in pay attention. You can't overthink your residency status when you're hitting the apex of a turn. On 2 wheels, I'm not an immigrant or a middle-aged guy with a sitting hobby. I'm just a rider. Somewhere between the third gear and the sunset, it hits you. Maybe starting over at almost 50 is not crazy. Maybe it's just brave. Most people let their lives get smaller as they get older. They choose safe. But jumping into the unknown when you're old enough to know better, that's living. You watch your family start to laugh at the fermented fish paste incidents. You see new routines forming. You realize you're not stuck. You're just in motion. And honestly, the best part of this madness isn't the scenery. It's the fact that we're all sinking in the same boat, which somehow makes it feel like a yacht. When you've all shared the collective trauma of trying to explain the plumbing emergency using only interruptive dance and a translation app that thinks you're asking for a water-based disco, you develop a weird, unbreakable bond. We're not just a family anymore. We're a small, highly confused special ops team. We've traded the comfortable silence of our old lives for the kind of hysterical laughter that only comes when you hit rock bottom in a foreign grocery store. We're leaner, we're weirder, we're louder, but we're finally moving at the same speed. It turns out, nothing says family goals quite like being the only people in the 5-mile radius who have absolutely no idea what's going on, but being 100% okay with it as long as we're together. So yeah, it's terrifying. It's confusing. My knees still sound like a gravel driveway, but every time I kick up the kickstand, I remember. Life is not about having the map figured out. It's about having the guts to keep riding even when the signs are in a language you don't speak. Stay upright out there, because gravity is still a thing, no matter what country you're in. Catch you on the next one.